Hey everybody, we're going to be talking about texture and how to create it and how it involves a lot of trial and error. Here's an example of a teddy bear getting a sketch done, building in some detail, and then when you want to do the fur, what I came up with was doing these like soft expressive marks that curve with the flow of the hair. And after I mapped that out, I started to blend with a couple blending tools to create some soft textures and pull out highlights with an eraser. What I finished up with was a soft, scraggly texture. It almost looks like doodles with cloud-like textures blended in. Your task is you're going to be drawing some textures from your drawing to practice. Here I have 6 boxes. I used up 3 so far, and I can always try a few more. How many you do really just matters on your drawing and what you need to cover. For this first example, I'm going to take a sample of a ring on a hand, and I'm going to show how to create a metallic reflective look. So what I look at when I look at my reference photo is, or my subject in front of me, I always take a look at where the highlights exist, and everywhere else I put a coating of a light gray. So of course this is after I completed a sketch. You'll notice that I'm going to step into the next darkest values. And when you're doing something metallic, it's got a lot of reflection. So you're going to be really harsh with some edges and with your contrast. It's not going to like blend softly in areas. There's going to be harsh transitions from strong midtones, strong darks, strong highlights. So there's going to be a lot of edging. Since this ring is on a hand, the fingers give a contrast and also support the effect of the ring sitting on the surface of the hand. So there's some cast shadows, drop shadows off of that. If I didn't do that, the ring wouldn't seem complete. So supporting shadows around an object make an object look better. It's not just drawing an object well, it's drawing the things around it. What I'm doing now is I'm taking a look at strong highlight and shaded edges, and these are some dark marks I'm putting in. Creates the sense of reflection. Notice I haven't used the blending tool yet. I'm going to use that in a little bit for a couple areas. But these are just all harsh marks, leaving strong highlights existing with the white of the paper to establish a more metallic look. You shade an apple much differently than how you shade a ring like this, because they just have completely different textures and they need to have different approaches, even though you're using the same material. So sometimes I'll put in some key outlining around my objects, but I typically like to shade to create my edges against things. It gives a more realistic, natural look to an image. Now I'm taking a blending tool and I'm going to soften some of my midtones where I don't want to have too much pencil texture. There you go. That gives us a metallic look. I'm going to buff a couple areas out. If I shaded an area too much, I could always pull out a highlight again by erasing back into it. And I can always darken an area more by strengthening it with like a 4B or a 6B pencil. See a couple more shadows in there. I want to put those in, and again blend in. The blending tool is good here for metal because you get bends of light, and it works better than leaving line work there. Next one I'm going to work on is I'm going to do a ball of yarn, and so I have my sketch here of it. Again, there's a lot of like yarn wrapped around there. I don't have to draw every single strand in line when I do my sketch. I just need to get the gist. When I put in my detail work here, I'm going to be able to incorporate a lot more details into it. To create this texture, I'm literally just following the lines of how the yarn is spooled up. There are a lot of things like if you're drawing a feather, you're going to follow the lines of the feather. If you have hair, you can follow the movement of that. But one thing about hair that's funny, if you're drawing like human hair or fur, you don't have to draw every single line or every single strand for people to understand. It actually doesn't look super realistic if you draw every single line, because there's a lot of clumping and shading there. So I'm, with this ball of yarn here, I'm just isolating some strong transitions of uh, where there's like highlight and strong edge, putting a little drop shadow there as well. And now what I'm doing is I'm coming in and isolating some darker values within the strands and isolating that on my drop shadow so it looks like the ball of yarn's sitting down. Some cast shadows, I'm gonna of course put that in there to build that overlapping effect. I just made a dark background here to help the ball of yarn pop out. Thought that added contrast would help it stand out. I'm going to buff it with some paper towel there just to create a soft backdrop, a little out of focus, and a blending tool here to assist in developing some softer tones and shading, especially on the drop shadow where I need to fade the shadow away. It won't just stop. Your job is going to be explore some of the textures that you feel are going to be challenging in your drawings and see how you do at that. Okay, good luck.